This
And
conference will now be recorded.
let's have everybody speak up that's on so Joanne can have a record of it. This is
Paul
Norma. Who else have we got?
Joe Chrisman, Steve Bedar,
Okay.
Paul Luck,
Nancy
Jenny?
Hyde.
Nancy? Did I see Matt Cooper?
Yep, this is Matt. I'm on.
Okay, great. Do we have anyone else? Are you missing anybody, Joanne?
Yeah, I still have someone that's called user. I don't have a name for that person that's on.
Michael
Joanne, it's
Bedar.
Paul. Okay, that's twice.
What's that?
It's Paul Luck.
I got Paul.
No, it's there's a man that I don't recognize who he is. I don't recognize him.
Joe Chrisman?
Nope, it's
I
not
got,
Joe.
I got you, Joe.
Nope, it's somebody I haven't seen. I don't know who he is.
Mike Bedar.
I've got Mike Bedore.
I think we've got Dick Belansky from the picture.
No, it wasn't Dick Belansky.
It was?
I
No,
don't think
okay.
it was Mr. Belansky. But I don't know who it was, but it wasn't Mr. Belansky, no.
Okay. Well, if they don't want to put a name up there, we'll take it off. Everybody's been accounted for now, Joanne?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the first item on the agenda is a police report. Is Kevin's not on? Do you want to speak for them, Michelle?
Kevin isn't going to be at the meetings because he doesn't work Mondays. You've read the activity report. I'd like to remind everyone that our police are now not working Sundays or Mondays, which means both that we get responses from the county sheriff instead, and also that their numbers may be down, reflecting the lack of work time or the smaller amount of work time, and also the smaller numbers that are periodically in the village. I'd like to make a motion to approve John Poggi II as part of the police, as part-time police officer at $25.85 an hour.
Would somebody make that motion?
I made the
I'll
I'll
motion.
make the motion.
I'll
Second?
second the motion.
Nancy? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, 2585 for the interim part-time officer.
It's not
Are
interesting.
you all set, Michelle?
I am.
Okay.
But, well, Norma, just a moment, please. I don't think he's an interim part-time officer. I think he's a
That's correct.
part-time.
Regular
I mean,
part-time officer.
Yeah. Right?
He's listed as part-time on the agenda. That's why I read it.
Right, but you also added interim, and I didn't think he was interim. I thought he was part of
Okay.
the part-time
No.
crew.
Okay, so part-time officer, 2585. John Poggi III. So we're all set with that now? Okay, Terry Jones? We don't have a Terry Jones on?
Yeah, he's here.
He was here.
Terry Jones?
I see him on the screen, so he's here somewhere.
Okay, we'll give him a text message maybe and see where he is. We can move down to, is John Condino on?
Yes, Norma, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Okay, I had a little trouble connecting early on, but I finally ended up through my phone, so
Okay.
I may
So,
show up there
John?
twice.
Sure. Okay, John,
know
share
why they
with
can't
us
hear
what you have.
Wait a minute, Terry's in now, I think. Terry, was that you? Nope,
I
guess
have not heard Terry.
Okay.
Can anybody hear me?
Oh, we
there he
can
is.
There's
now.
Terry.
There you
go.
are.
I've been talking, but I guess
We couldn't hear you,
I don't
Terry.
know what happened. Go ahead, John. Do your thing.
All right.
Okay.
Terry, go on. You're
Okay.
before
All
us. You go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, as I was saying, but no one could hear me, you all should have a copy of my DPW activity report for the last couple of weeks. The guys have been busy working. We've replaced the paver blocks that were washed out last year on the west end of Frink Park, and the guys have been working. We got the sweeper back in commission, and also the sewer flusher. So getting the guys back, we've got our equipment back up and running. Actually, we've got the 2 pickup trucks inspected today, so things are going well there. I want to refer to the agenda. I would like to request to approve Sam Matt for our Rotary Park dock attendant at $12.30 an hour. I was hoping the board approval, we could start him possibly next Thursday before the 4th weekend, July 4th weekend. And hopefully we can fund him throughout Labor Day weekend, working 4 days a week, 8 hours a day.
So you're talking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Thursday, Friday, yes, Norma. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then if there are any issues, we're here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday anyway. And we have been keeping up with cleaning the bathrooms, and the guys have done a fantastic job on the weekends keeping up with that. We're sanitizing the bathrooms and checking the garbage. And they've been alternating since they've been back, and that's the
Okay, what
setup
hours
going forward this summer.
did you have, Terry?
Well, I kind of conferred with him, and we talked about 9 to 5, and he said that's probably the best, because usually 4 to 5 is the dinner run and everybody starts leaving. So, with board approval, I was looking at 9 to 5 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then the police department has been locking the bathrooms up at 9. Unfortunately, on Sundays they're not here, but we can take care of that. We'll work something out, either myself or John.
Mary Heyman, she'd like to keep it open past 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And we would. And that's why I'm saying the police have typically been locking them up at 9.
Yeah.
We did have an issue over the weekend. Somebody, I don't know if they came from the bar or whatever, but they wedged something down in the men's room toilet, and Toby had to work quite vigorously to get it unstopped, but he did get it on Saturday morning. That unfortunately, apparently it didn't get locked Friday night. So I would attribute that to the after hours crowd.
Oh, probably. I'd be glad to go down at 9 on Monday and Tuesday. No, Tuesday we've got somebody else. Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, so we'll
Right.
work on something to lock them up on
Sure.
Sunday and Monday and have them locked by 9 o'clock.
Yep. Yeah, that seems to be the witching hour, Norma, when we've had issues after 9.
Okay. Alrighty, so is everybody okay with that?
I'd accept that motion.
Yes, I'm fine.
Can I interrupt, please? Whoever has their microphones on, please make sure there's no music in the background. Or, yes, okay, somebody, okay, just because it is very, very hard to hear when there's background noise. It's hard to hear anyways, but thank you. So are we gonna do a motion then for?
Yeah, we need a motion for the $12.30 for Sam, working hours 9 to 5, 4 days a week. You want to make that
I'll
motion,
make the
please,
motion.
Nancy?
I'll make the motion, yes.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Steve, second. All in
Yep.
favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Sam's coming back, 12.30 an hour. Starting this Thursday,
Okay.
right, Terry?
Yep, we'll start them next Thursday.
Yeah, okay. Sounds
Is that good? That works. Okay, awesome. Also, I see on the agenda Mark's last name spelled wrong. He really doesn't like that. So it's Hays, but going forward, he has 8.5 vacation days left over. He is currently taking vacation. He has 17.5 days. So he will be taking the next 2 weeks off, which because of the COVID shutdown and the layoffs, he wasn't able to take those extra days. So he's asking, and I'm asking, for the board's approval to allow him to carry. Typically, we allow 5 days, but we're looking to see if we can carry 8.5 days over for Mark till next year. We've done it in the past with board approval, but I know it's extenuating circumstances, so I just wanted to ask permission.
I have no problem with that. It's Michelle.
You want to make that
Nancy.
motion?
I would. That
And
he be
Nancy
allowed
will
to carry
second.
over.
Nancy will second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. All in favor of the carryover for Mark Hayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Mark's got his 8.5 days coming.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. That's all that I have on my report. Does anyone have any questions or concerns for me?
I have something, Terry. It's Michelle. I think the guys are
Hi,
doing a
Michelle.
great job under some extenuating circumstances.
I appreciate that, and they are.
That's all I had to say.
They are. I appreciate that very much, and they have, and they're glad to be back. I will say they're very glad to be back. So it's good to have a purpose again as a crew.
Okay, you got anything else for Terry? Anyone?
No, I
Are you
don't.
all? Everybody's all set with Terry? Okay, Terry, you're good to go.
Okay, I'll be on listening to John.
Okay, sounds good. Okay,
Thank
John
you.
Condito, want to try it again?
I'll try it again. Yes, as long as everybody can hear me. I don't know why you
I
want
can
to
hear
listen
you.
to me, Terry. Okay. So this evening, we have what I will call the long-awaited final amendment for our engineering services for the READY projects. Just a little background for everybody. Norma, some people may not realize, but last fall when the READY projects were announced for the Village of Clayton, they were actually awarded 5 separate projects. One is on the wastewater treatment plant side, down by the pump station on Riverside Drive, which this is not associated with, but the other 4 projects all had to do with the Riverwalk and the Mary Street dock. When the awards were made, it totaled almost $6.3 million for the 4 projects. And one of the key points that we made clear early on was that in order to determine what the final scope of work would be for each of those 4 projects, and ultimately what the final estimated budgets would be, we needed to do an underwater investigation. We had Chris Hunt and his crew from Hunt Underwater come in this spring and do a great job with the underwater investigation. It was money well spent. It certainly informed us as to what the 4 projects really have ended up to be defined as. And those projects, in short, are so the Riverwalk will actually end up being raised. It'll be akin to a raised boardwalk. We're not going to disturb the original Riverwalk there. We're actually going to put the concept is to raise the current walkway with a boardwalk type with some railings. I think in excess of a foot, so that it will be usable for all times, essentially, unless we're into a major storm with huge waves. In addition to that, the hope is anyway that we'll be able to address the corner of the Riverwalk that was not addressed in the initial phases over by Attilio's that frankly needs to be rebuilt and raised. and that'll be something we'll be addressing with the village and the stakeholders in the next few weeks here. The other projects will involve a much more robust and modern wave attenuator up in front of the floating docks by Monument Park there. It will also include over at Mary Street replacement of the Mary Street dock and replacement of the dock next to the boat launch with a floating dock. All that said, one of the things to keep in mind also is, of course, the damaged portion of the Riverwalk at the end of John Street, along with the floating docks, are currently underway to be replaced. That's all going to be fixed by and paid for by FEMA funding. So all in all, when all this is done, there's going to be a new usable Riverwalk. One thing I didn't mention was the Frink dock. Actually, there was some money set aside, a fairly substantial amount of money set aside to address the Frink dock if any problems were found in the underwater investigation. The underwater investigation did find some, I'll call them voids at the bottom of the sheet piling that was originally put in when it was installed. And albeit it was in excellent shape all the way through the underwater portion of the Frink dock, we really think with the funds available, it's prudent to address those voids with some what they call grout bags to make sure that Frink dock, frankly, will be resilient for years to come. So, all in all, those are the projects that are being developed. And Norma, at some point in the near future, we need to talk about maybe at the next board meeting, having an update for the board and the public on what the projects are going to look like, so everybody understands what we're going forth with. So this amendment is in addition to early on there was an initial $100,000 that was approved, and that allowed us to get started and submit the 10% preliminary engineering report, in addition to doing some of the initial survey work and also the more important than that, the underwater investigation. This amendment totals $838,000, $838,800, and that includes the balance of the work from an engineering standpoint that needs to be done, including the preliminary design phase, which is the 60%, which needs to be submitted to the Ready Commission, the final design phase, bidding and negotiation phase, through construction and construction observation and management, and then we have money in there for what we call a post-construction phase to tie up all the loose ends at the end. It also includes monies for the balance of the survey, some subsurface investigation that will occur over on Mary Street. The plan is to replace the Mary Street dock, so we need to advance some bores out there to understand what subsurface conditions are before we put the new pilings in. It includes permitting and other miscellaneous reimbursable inspections. So, lot said, a lot of work. We're happy to say that as of last week, the forms were submitted to Carolyn Ryan at the Ready Commission to adjust the various budgets for the projects. I did hear back from Carolyn, and she, I believe, has advanced those to the Ready Commission, so that we should have an answer hopefully by next week. Which means once that approval comes through to shift the funds, we can then complete the disbursement agreement with DASNY, and the town will, with that agreement, have the ability, frankly, to start paying some bills, which will be great, and moving on with the project.
I think it would be important for the board to know that this is the engineering costs are always reviewed by the funding agencies, so that we know that we are on target for where we can be. It's not a number that's, just from Barton Lynn Judas. You have to answer to the funding agencies.
We We do, and just so you know, Norman, I'm glad you brought that up. I did forget an important point. It does have to be reviewed by the funding agencies. You know, they all have certain percentages that they expect
Right.
engineering fees will be in line with. These fees represent just under 18% of the construction costs, which, by the way, is in the exact percentage range that all the other projects that we're doing for Clayton that have been reviewed by the funding agencies are. So we did our best to keep it within that range, so it's acceptable to all parties, including the
Right.
village and the funding agencies. Also, understand a couple things. So we this $6.3 million from the Ready grants. Frankly, we view this as that's the total amount the village is ever going to see. Frankly, I don't think there's any chance of the village, if the numbers were to come in higher than that, going back and asking for more funds. I think we are designing this project to be able to accommodate when the bids come in, adjustments to the scope and still spend the money wisely for the village. So we understand that. I don't think there'll be a need to come back to the board and ask for more funding or more for the village to put up more money. And also on our engineering fees, we're actually these engineering fees will be billed on a time and expense basis. So that means every hour will be accounted for, every expense will be accounted for, and frankly, our hope is that we don't need to charge the village the entire amount. If it goes smoothly, it'll never be higher than what you're authorizing, but it could very well be lower. So,
Okay, with that explanation, would somebody make the motion for this amendment?
I'll
John,
make the
Nancy
motion.
Hyde, and I would like to thank you for your time and the amount of explanation that you did. I think it's a great idea that as soon as we can get back to public meetings, that we have a better understanding of this, because it is a large sum of money that we're putting out. But you've explained it well, so I do appreciate that. So I will second the motion. Steve Bedore made the motion. I will second. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor of the amendment from Bartlett and Judas?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the amendment has been passed, John.
thank you, Norma. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you to the board members.
Thank you, John. Matt Cooper, you've got an amendment as well on the wastewater project, right?
I do. My explanation is probably a bit simpler than John's for his amendment. For the wastewater project, as you know, we've been under contract to provide engineering services start to finish on the project. The only thing that has changed that triggered this amendment is that USDA Rural Development has entered the picture. So they have offered you $1 million grant for your project. And as such, they have additional language they want added to the engineering agreement, the agreement that we have with the village. That language doesn't change our services at all. Basically, it just adds rural development into the loop on all the different provisions and terms and conditions of the agreement. So with that, there is zero cost change with the amendment. And as you can see in the amendment that we had sent over, it just makes some minor alterations to our original engineering agreement. So in order for rural development to approve our agreement with the village, they require this language to be added. So we have done that, and if it all looks okay to you, it just would require your approval and signature on that amendment, and we will get that to rural development so that they can approve that as part of the eligible project cost.
Okay, would somebody make the motion for the engineering agreement amendment number 2?
I'd like to ask a question first, please. This is Nancy. I just need,
Nancy.
I think you stated it, Matt, but I just needed to hear it again. So we got $1 million grant. Is this new
I believe it
from
was
rural
awarded.
development, or has it been there for a long time?
I believe they provided it back in March.
Okay,
Yeah.
and there's no, is there a contribution from the village, or was that the $17,000 contribution?
As far as the grant goes,
Yes, that's correct.
yeah, there's no local match to it. It's a $1 million grant, so it just takes. So as you know, your project is roughly 8.8 million, and we had roughly a $2 million grant from EFC. This $1 million grant will be in addition to that, so it reduces the balance of the project cost that would have to be covered by a loan.
Right, I'll look back, but this came in March, you think, roughly? I mean, maybe we've
Yeah.
been aware of it and I just don't
We've
remember.
talked about it, Nancy. We got them.
Well, I'm just trying to reiterate, keep it clear in my mind. All right, I will check and, okay, all right.
Well, we
Thank you.
certainly talk about a lot of grants and a lot of dollars from different agencies. I certainly can understand the need for clarification.
Thank you, Matt. I'll
And
make
at
a
that
motion.
point, too, it was crazy.
I'll make the motion to.
Okay,
for
thank you,
this.
Nancy. Do we have a second on the amendment?
I'll second.
I'll second it. Oh,
Okay, Michelle? And Nancy and Michelle, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so the 2 amendments have been approved. Anything else for B&L?
Just a brief update on the wastewater project. We still are continuing with design. Anticipate that we will have a set of documents ready for the regulatory agency review by the end of July. And depending on the length of review that DEC takes, we would plan on putting it out to bid after that. Hopefully that'll be a good time of the year, in the fall, to have the project out to bid when contractors are trying to line up their work for the next year, and hopefully get some very competitive bid prices on it.
Great. Are we all
That's all I
set with
have,
the,
unless someone has any questions.
is everyone all set with B&L?
I'm all set. Thank you, Matt.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt and John.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Okay, you as
Yep.
well.
Have a great night. Mhm.
Megan, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Okay, let's hear from Megan.
Beautiful. I wanted to start out, I don't see it on the actual agenda, but I know it's been a discussion we've been having with the mayor and the board that Eric is requesting to have 40 hours of vacation time transferred over to his next year, which is 5 days, and that's allowed in their contracts. He might not quite take that much. He said he might take a couple more hours here and there, but no more than 40. So I was hoping to get board approval, and I approve it as well, to allow him to carry over the 5 days of vacation.
Would somebody make that motion for Eric's 40 hours?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Steve. Got a second?
Michelle will second.
I'll second.
Got there
Michelle
first.
second? Okay, all in favor of 40 hour carryover for Eric?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we're all set with that, Megan.
Beautiful, I appreciate it, and he does too. The second item on the agenda is circling back to the EDU request that we had from last time. We looked into it some more, and it looks like his consumption has been pretty stable the past several years, opposed from that one outlier that we had. And 2 years ago, his EDUs were 4, and then last year we dropped it down to 3. And it looks like he was, aside from that one outlier last year, he was trending to be still between that 3 and 4 EDU mark for the coming cycle. So we were he was requesting that he have either full forgiveness or if you guys feel it more appropriate to have partial forgiveness on his EDU increase, being that he did pay that leak bill in full. He just doesn't want that one catastrophic event to keep paying for it for the next year when it was a one-time thing and not just a generalized usage increase that occurred at the property. I didn't know if you guys had additional questions or thoughts on the matter, or
I'm comfortable.
No, this is Nancy. I'm fine with what you said because you clarified it from the previous meeting. So I'm fine with what you say. I have no problem. I would make the motion to accept that.
I would second.
is that for a full forgiveness and keep him where he was at the previous year? Keep him at 3?
Yes, there doesn't appear to be any reason for the EDU increase.
Okay, I just wanted to
Correct.
clarify that.
Yeah,
we're
no,
not
I understand that.
in the middle, but we're keeping it at 3.
Joanne, we'll want to make sure before the water bills get printed that we get that correct EDU in there. Because you probably updated it already for the new one. Joanne?
Joanne, are you?
Yeah, sorry about that. I had my mic off, didn't know it. We're just gonna go back to last year's EDU, right,
Yeah.
Megan?
Right.
Yep, we're gonna keep it in 3. I know you probably already have it changed in there as 6, so when you go to that account, just revert it back to 3, and I'll make a note in my EDU update notebook so we know what the reasoning was. So next year we know where we're at.
Okay, I still need a second on that too.
I think Nancy seconded or I seconded.
Okay,
So we're all in favor of the correction or the no change on this EDU. And we need someone to, are you going to get hold of Dick Holland and let him know, Megan, or do you want me to, or?
Megan
We should
did.
probably respond in a letter since it came
Yeah, okay.
from, I believe, an attorney, or just send them a copy of the minutes from this, with a brief explanation like, hey, we approved it. Here's your, copy of the approval, and I don't think it has to be anything complicated.
Megan, keep an eye on it for next year, just in case, it does seem more consistent to go up.
Absolutely. No, these are meant to be extenuating circumstances. If this becomes a ongoing thing and it continues to be a problem, you don't get forgiveness every time. You have happens, but it can't continue to keep happening. You gotta do to prevent this stuff. But we know accidents happen.
Mhm.
So we go from there. But no, it will be monitored closely.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Megan?
Out of that, just a couple quick updates as far as water,
Sure.
sewer. Our water plant's been running pretty much nonstop for the past week or so, probably because it's so hot. People have been using a lot of water. There's been a pretty big demand in the village. So that it's been working hard, but it's been keeping up pretty good. And we do have New York leak detection here this week, just to make sure that they don't find anything in our system that might be contributing to that increased water usage that we've seen. So we're hoping that maybe they might be able to shed some light on things if something's going on. And the only other thing water related is it looks like we are a go for doing the pigging of the intake on this coming Monday or next week, as long as weather cooperates. We had a call about it today with OBG and the health department and DANK and got on the same page and made sure we had our contingencies in place and we had the plan. And this past week or so, we kind of shifted how we were going to do it. Instead of drawing from the village water, we're actually just going to be using river water to do the pigging of the water intake, so that'll be extra helpful because we won't be drawing on the village system on top of the increased usage that we've had already. So that was a positive last minute adjustment that we did, but we're feeling good about it, and if something goes awry, we do have backups in place to make sure water keeps flowing in the village. So everybody keep your fingers crossed that goes well, because it is an old line, and everyone's pretty unsure of how it's all going to work out, but we'll have good folks on site, and I'll make sure it all goes well. And as far as waste goes, everything's been pretty quiet still, fortunately. Everything's been going pretty smoothly there. Did you guys have any additional questions on the board report?
Megan, are you still primarily working from home?
Yep.
Okay, just curious.
Yep, just due to my medical issues and the treatment that I'm on, the doctor's
Well,
advice.
that's fine. I just didn't know where you were.
Yep, still here, but still probably feel like I'm busier than I was when I was there, because I'm not getting pulled away quite as frequently with other stuff on. So been busy, and Manasseh's been doing a great job working with the operators and tying up some loose ends, and he was a big help with getting the pigging system modification sorted out and getting it all pulled together. So it's been really nice having him on site. He's been doing a lot of great things for the village there. Other than that, anything else?
Is everyone all set with Megan? Thanks a lot, Megan.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Manasseh, are you on?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to hop on and talk about change order 4 for New Century. And then I'll just touch briefly on the DOT project and kind of where we're at and what we see coming down the pipe on that. For New Century, we have change order 4 on the table that we're looking for approval for. And just to give you a quick description on that, the first portion of that change order is to update the service at Riverside Drive Pump Station. That service is currently a 200 amp service, but with the wastewater treatment plant upgrades and the READY funding that's going to be invested in that pump station, the pumps are going to be upgraded to help manage the wet weather situations. And so for that project, they're actually going to need 400 amp power at the pump station. So it made sense to go ahead and upgrade that equipment right now rather than installing 200 amp equipment and then in a year from now pulling that out with the wastewater project and putting in new 400 amp. So we've worked with Kyle to get a price to upgrade that equipment to 400 amp. We've also been working with B&L, their subcontractor Jade Stone, and National Grid and DOT all on that. So that's the first portion of the change order. The second item on there is the memorial monument on John Street. We've talked about that a couple times now. Basically, that was overlooked in the DOT project. So the work that's included in this change order would be for Kyle to install a conduit over 2 racks on the back of the racks building where we received the easement to install a meter, and then conduit from there up John Street and connect to the existing conduit that goes and feeds the monument for the lighthouse light. So that work would be included in New Century's scope of work. I'm still working with DOT to get a price to install a vault on John Street. That's something that we've been going back and forth with DOT and National Grid, trying to find the cheapest option for that. I don't have a price for that yet, but I should be getting that hopefully here in the next week or two. So I would come back to the board at the next meeting for that. And that would be a vault installed on John Street to accommodate TI, land trust racks, and the monument power. Due to the fact of where they are and outside the DOT right away, there's going to need to be another vault installed there.
Does anyone have any question for Manasseh on the change order?
No, I'll make the motion for the change order.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Steve? Okay, all in
Yep.
favor of change order 4?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, change order number 4 has been approved.
Perfect.
Do you have anything else for us, Manassa?
I think just on the DOT project, they seem to be doing well. We were able to get the Frink Park transformer pad moved from the original location that was more centered on the right side of the pavilion. We pushed it down as far as we can. Unfortunately, there is a lot of underground items down by where the anchor is and past, heading towards Harbor Hotel. So we weren't able to push it any further than we did, but we did get it moved from the original location that DOT had. So I've coordinated that work with New Century, also with National Grid and DOT, and they've got the lines run underground for that now. And as you guys can tell, being in the community, they've got binder down. The areas that they have binder down, they're pretty much done with that work on the underside. So the only work remaining there now is restoration and putting a top coat of pavement on when they're complete with everything. So they're not nearly done with the project, but that section you shouldn't be seeing that tore up anymore, other than when they're get to the point where they can remove poles and start to do sidewalks and things of that nature, restoration work. So that's I think that's a positive. There's a lot of parking that's open up there now, and they're plugging along and they're doing really well. So yeah, everything's good on that end.
Yeah, it looks a ton better downtown. Okay, are we all set with Manassa?
No, I have one quick question to go back to. The transformer Manassa, when I went and looked at it, and I'm not very versatile in this, so it's going to be put in front of the tree, the blue spruce tree down there at Frank Park.
Yeah, there's the 2 flag poles. I think it ended up being centered on the flag poles.
Ew.
Okay.
It's an unfortunate item that
Yeah,
has to be located there.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because from what I could see, it takes away from the tree and the whole process down there. Yeah, it is unfortunate, but I know it's not Manassa's fault. So.
Right.
No,
I think
there's not a
original
lot of
location.
real estate. They had it closer, they had a farther to the left till Manasseh and Terry and I went down, but there's was a big ugly right from the beginning because there's not a lot of real estate downtown that's vacant where they could put this equipment. It was about the only spot there was available, so we'll just have to make it look as good as we can.
Everyone's going to be looking up at how much the sky's open out with the lines gone, that they won't notice the transformer.
There you go. Anything else for Manasseh? Okay, Manasseh, thanks a lot for the update.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a great night.
Okay, are there any questions on the consent agenda, items 1, 2, and 3? If not, can we have a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Nancy,
Yes.
do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Steve, okay. All in favor of items 1, 2, and 3 on the consent agenda?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, consent agenda has been taken care of. On the capital projects, I reached out to Chris Bogenschutz to see what we on the Savvy Citizen. We have 533 subscribers, so that's good. So they get all the updates, and new people are jumping on all the time. So there's 533 as of today. Does anyone have any questions on the capital projects?
Not today.
Can we have a motion to accept item 4 for the capital projects, please?
I'll make the motion. It's Michelle.
Michelle? And Jeremy,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yep.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Item 4, done. Nancy, do you want to bring forward the new business of the sign law?
Yes, I'll do that. We had been working, the committee has worked for well over a year on the new sign law. The committee consisted of, let's see, myself, John Bucher, Michelle Grabowski, Steve Bedore, Chris Bogenchetz, Dale McLaughlin, and Mark Stewart from Stewart Signs.
And where does
And,
Norma come in?
oh, I apologize, and Norma.
Norma, you're
Norma the
officially
mayor.
on all committees.
And so we worked diligently, we worked hard on it, and we're ready to have it approved. Norma feels as though we should send it on to the planning board and the ZBA, and that's fine. I would like to make the note that Richard Ingerson had been invited a number of times. Dale McLaughlin invited him, and Richard made some kind of snide comments, according to Dale, and declined the invitation. I invited, to the last time, I invited planning board Doug Rogers, but he had other conflicting processes, so he could not attend.
He'd been
So we did
invited
try,
prior too.
yeah, we did try to include these individuals, and they had other things to do. So if we'd like to send it on to those two committees, that would be fine. I think we need to put a time limit on it as to far as how long they have it. And
The
then we
planning
could
board
vote.
meets next Thursday, so if we could get it to them next Thursday.
Well, I think
so
they should get it before Thursday and then
Well,
see
yeah,
if
but
they can.
that would be, I don't know if they could make it do it by Thursday or not, but at least we could get it to them so it could get it on the agenda.
Right, no, I would agree with that. And then as far as ZBA, I don't know when they meet again, if they're even, I don't know if they're meeting at all. I don't think they have been because there hasn't been anything with the planning board. So I think, again, we just need to put a time limit on it, how long they have it, and that we need it back so that we can vote on it as a board.
I think it's got to go to Joe after that, right? Joe Russell?
Well, that's my understanding, get it to Joe, and then we have to have a public hearing. So there's still quite a process to do, and we're coming up to the end of July, or June rather, excuse me.
It's our second July meeting.
So, yeah, we can get it to the planning board for July 2nd meeting, and then hopefully we could ask them to have it back to us by the week of July, July 20th. And then we meet on the 27th. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Does that sound reasonable? All right. All right. So we'll move forward like that. That's fine.
And you're going to send it to them, Nancy, and to
Sure.
ZBA?
Yes, I can do that with no problem. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Under the old business, we talked about the pilot for the Harbor Hotel last meeting, and Michelle and Nancy, you wanted to talk to Tina and have a little input on that before you made a decision.
Norma, I've read what Tina has sent out when we've requested it, and I've spoken to some people on the county administration, and I've been in touch with the IDA, and all of them are concerned about setting a precedent, and they're concerned about the fact that the IDA offered them a bridge loan so that the village would not be impacted. And I have concerns because of those things. I also feel that while Tina can say it appears we aren't going to have a problem, we didn't expect the COVID pandemic either. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. I don't think we'll have anything that bad, but we have no idea what the future holds. And I think it's quite risky, frankly, to play with money at this point in time, even on a temporary basis. However, if the board outnumbers me and votes yes, I think we should charge them interest.
The request that went into IDA was to deferment for 90 days with no interest.
That
So the
doesn't
money,
We
the
don't,
money
that doesn't
coming,
mean we have to accept it that way.
nobody said we had to, Michelle. I'm just saying that was how it went into IDA. The amount of money that will come to us would be exactly what was in the budget, which was
I
31.
understand that. I totally understand that.
Anyone else have any questions? If not, can we put this up to a vote?
Oh, I
For
have
the
one more
bills?
question, Madam Mayor. I've heard that Joe Russell represents the hotel, and he's the one who we consulted on whether or not he saw any problems with us deferring the pilot, which would be a conflict of interest. I don't know if it's true, but I'm concerned that I heard that.
Oh, he's on the IDA board. I don't know.
But
He is,
does he represent the hotel on the IDA board?
no. He is, I think, I know he's on the IDA board, but he doesn't have any association with the hotel.
Okay, because we had heard something, I had heard something different than that.
Well, I've been downtown a lot and I have talked to 12 different businesses down there, and they all see the advantages to them. Most of them are the small businesses, and what the hotel, I mean, they've got a $25 million investment on a brownfield site, and what they get out of.
I'm not arguing with their need any more than I'm arguing with the need of anyone else downtown or anywhere else.
Michelle, excuse me, Michelle, let me just finish. They had,
sorry.
But the people that get the biggest benefit out of the hotel are the downtown merchants that they come to. I had one email that they had some questions. He was just an opinion. He doesn't even live in the village, but he was okay with it when he understood what was going on. And so we need to put this up to a vote if we'll grant them the deferment for 90 days. Will somebody put that up there? I'll put it up there.
You can't.
Well, I'll put it up for a vote and I vote no.
I'm sorry,
This is
Nancy?
Nancy. I said, I'll put it up for a vote and I vote no.
Okay.
I vote yes.
Wait, you have to second the motion, Steve.
Okay. I'm second the vote, the motion for the
Okay.
deferment, and I'm voting yes.
Who else have we got on? Jeremy, are you on?
I'm on.
And your vote?
I vote yes.
I vote no.
That
I
was
think we're going to
Michelle.
be in trouble with the IDA.
I'm sorry?
I said, I think that the IDA is not going to be very happy with this, and I vote no.
I've talked to Don Alexander probably a half a dozen times. And
Us.
he has never said anything other than he thought it was the right thing to do.
That's not true. He said he thought it set a bad precedent.
He did not tell me that.
Well,
Okay, we
can
got
get
the
in-
vote.
Yep, the
Nancy
vote.
is a
you're
no.
going to get the vote, but that is not what he said, but that's okay.
You
I'm
can
not
have the
going to
vote,
argue
but
with him.
people need to know the truth too.
Okay, let's confirm this. We've got Nancy is a no, Michelle is a no, Steve is a yes, and Jeremy as a yes. And mine will be a yes. What we've got to do with that is get a letter to IDA that we support them with the pilot deferment.
Please make sure you say it was a split vote.
Pardon?
Please make sure you tell the IDA it was a split vote.
Of course I will.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have the folks, Cindy and Jim, are they on the phone? Do we have Cindy and Jim?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Last meeting, you gave us good detail about what's been going on. And Jeremy, Trustee Kellogg and I went down with the code enforcement officer the 9th of June, the day after our meeting. And some issue had come up on that day for the code enforcement officer about going over there. So we had a great discussion on it. And Jeremy, please chime in here. It was decided to issue the cease and desist order, which the code enforcement officer did. And that was done the next day or two. And all the items that were originally on the list for them to take care of, according to Dick Ingerson today, have been taken care of with the exception of the sidewalk. That has not been taken care of, and we're working with Terry Jones on that.
Okay, Norma, I'd like to correct you on one issue. There was one other item on the cease and desist, and that was to stop manufacturing, which we can go over the list. I'd like to do, let's go over the list, but they are still manufacturing as of this moment. They started at 7, a little after 7 this morning.
Well, they had been, Dick doesn't go over there anymore because they figured he was harassing them and he didn't want to get into
Norma,
that.
Norma, have you spoken to Richard today?
Yes,
Because
I
I
have.
did. I spent a lot of time with him today, and he came
Right.
over today and put the sign up for the planning board, which, by the way, they're going in for a change in their zoning standing. And Richard was here and looked in their building and then left. So I called Richard and I asked him, did you see that they're fabricating? And he said, no, he didn't, but he was not aware, but now he is. And he said he was going to make some calls.
Well,
I believe that they're putting in something for a store.
Excuse me?
I heard something about going to zoning to put a store in, S-T-O-R-E.
This is in, I think they are going in front of the planning board.
Yeah, they're going to the planning board to change.
That's next Thursday.
I got a copy of that, which is kind of interesting because it says they're going in for a minor revision. And in fact, they're going in to change their hours from 6 to 6 and to allow construction, commercial, and transportation on that property. That's not a minor change.
At this point in time, as far as the board is concerned, it's with the code enforcement officer and the planning board.
All right, let's just go through the list. As you said, the issues that are outstanding, okay? It'll take 5 minutes.
We went all through this last 2 weeks ago.
I know, and I'd like to give you an update on where we are.
Excuse me.
I'd like to give the board an update on where we are. Don't mind. I'll just give you an update.
So I would, this is a public meeting and we've done what we said we would do and we're looking for you should call in. I don't believe you can attend the meetings, but you can call in for the planning board meeting next Thursday.
Norma, as I said at the last meeting, I wanted to go through this list of open issues until they were resolved. And there's only a handful of them. It's taking longer to argue about it. So if you don't mind, I would like to go through it.
Sure.
It is on the agenda.
Thank you. So the first item was to stop fabrication, and that's ongoing even though a cease and desist was ordered. Install the fence is not installed. Install a sidewalk, the sidewalk's not installed. Remove the storage container, yes, that was done, that's closed. Put all equipment below and behind the privacy fence, it's below and behind my fence, so that's okay, I'll close that one. Hours of operation will be adhered to, not even close. Install gutters, this was not on my list of issues, but they did install the gutters. That's at 815 Union Street. Now let's go to 827, right next door. Stop fabrication, yes, they moved it from the waterfront into the building on 815. And that's what they do, they move it back and forth from building to building. Stop commercial operation? No, it's ongoing. Go in front of the planning board to change from residential to commercial business with an SEQR? Not yet. When they're in front of the planning board, they're going with 815 Union Street, not 827, which is part of their business footprint. Okay? So install the sidewalk on 827, not even on the plan yet. Hours of operation at 827 should be the same as 815. Again, they work when they want. Let's talk about the dead end. Okay? Clear the right of way to the waterfront, including the utility right of way. I sent you a picture, and that speaks 1,000 words. It's not clear. Okay, remove any equipment that's to the land. They moved it all to the floating docks, so it's not attached to the land. Get permits for all the barges. I spoke to Rich Ingerson. He said that's Chief Patnow's job, so he's not going to take care of that. So that's all my issues. I've gone through them all. It's going to the planning board for 815 Union Street. I've spoken to the county, and I will speak at the planning board in the village, and we will oppose this. Because we had an agreement with the town and that business for certain usage of that property. And beyond that, that's a variance. So now we're back at the planning board. That's it, I'm done.
Jeremy, Cal, do you want to add anything to that?
Not really. I know that Jake's been working hard, getting gutters up, doing the siding, getting the containers out of there. I don't know. He indicated to me that the waterfront property, he was just using it as his marine transportation, and a lot of times National Grid goes in and out of there. But
Jeremy, his entire business relies on that waterfront. Without that, he doesn't need 815.
Jeremy, his father is living on the property with patio furniture and flowers and a gondola.
I'm just making observations here, and if you want to take it further, when I drive out the driveway, I see you're blocking the sidewalks a lot too. So is there a double standard?
Oh, this is not tit for tat here. Sorry,
it's not tit for tat. It's just that it's gonna have to either get along or it's gonna go deep.
But you know what? This is not their fault. And if we don't start standing up, anything from zoning is going to be totally meaningless. We may as well abolish the committee and let people do what they want. I'm done.
Okay, at this point in time, the village is...
Excuse me, Norma, I do have a question I'm going to ask this to Jeremy because he has more of an understanding about this than I certainly have. According to Mr. Duswalt here, 815 Union Street, they're supposed to stop fabrication, but they're still doing it there.
Not that I see. I was in the shop a couple of days ago. They had a dock that they had finished in there that they got to get out of there, but I don't see any fabrication going.
Okay, and again, I don't know.
Fabrication, Jeremy. They're finishing the dock. That's fabrication.
Jeremy, I have witnesses right here. I have neighbors sitting in my living room that can tell you that they have been fabricating since this morning, and it went on in the entire day, and we just still heard them while we're sitting here in this meeting.
Okay.
Jeremy, I think it's difficult because of your conflict of interest. And
yeah.
I think that it puts you in a bad spot, and I think it puts everyone else in a bad spot and takes away some of our credibility.
Yeah, I understand. It's probably going to end up making me resign from the board.
Well, I'd be sad if you did, but that is a choice you have.
Yeah, I know.
So
well, I would hope you don't resign. I would hope that we could put another board member involved and keep you. I think there are 3 other people that could get involved.
I'm just trying to be fair and effective. I'm not just going tit for tat. I'm just doing observation. If I observe Jake doing something wrong, and if he's not, I go right up to his door and I tell him. And if his neighbor is complaining about him blocking the right of ways, blocking the sidewalk, yet he's doing it, then that's a double standard. It's like
Hold on.
there's two tier for rules, right? And
Jeremy,
don't say you
Jeremy,
don't do it, because you do. You do it. You
Jeremy,
block the sidewalks.
I'm not complaining about Jake not finishing anything next door. This has nothing to do with that. This is all about following the rules. And if I'm blocking the driveway or blocking a sidewalk and somebody complains, I'll move my truck. That's fine.
Is
I
that
have
what it's
no
going to take
complaint.
for you to
Jeremy,
comply?
this is about a violation that's
Okay, folks, come on, let's,
not a complaint that hasn't been made.
let's
stick
wait
to the
until,
guide.
If I'm driving down the road 150 miles an hour, nobody sees me, am I still breaking the law?
But you won't get prosecuted. That's the point.
Yeah,
I mean,
well.
and if you do, I'm not going to take your case and say, and Nancy was speeding too, so let's get
okay,
Nancy.
folks, we're getting way off target here. We've heard the issue 2 weeks ago, and we've gone through the list. I've talked to Richard, and they are going in front of the planning board next Thursday night, and we'll see where it goes then. At
That
this point
sounds
in
good.
time, we're depending on the planning board. We can't make the decisions, and the zoning officer to get this concluded.
Mhm.
So my question is this, Norma. They're breaking the law. They're still doing what they're not supposed to be doing. And I have no recourse to wait to the planning board to make it legal?
They are going to the plan. They are next Thursday. So that's where it stands right now.
Yes,
Does
but I
any-
believe, because I read the article and I saw it in the newspaper, aren't they going to the planning board to put up a retail shop or some type of retail outlet? It's not, are they going to the planning board for these things? They wouldn't be. They're
They
going to
are.
put up a retail outlet. Correct?
I believe they're going to planning board to get a change of hours, and
They're going to the planning board. I read it today. They're going to planning board to continue doing what they are doing today, but illegally.
But I also think they're doing what Nancy said as well.
actually, he's outgrown the space. Bottom line. But that isn't for us to tell him he can't be there right now. So he's got to go and see if they can thrash this out at the planning board level. Are you all set now? I guess we did what we said we could do, and we did that. Okay, moving on to the water sewer bills, Joanne.
Yes, I just wanted everybody to see what was going on the back of the bills. It's July
We want
1st.
make sure the
So,
hours are on.
yes, they are on.
Okay.
I thought I put a copy in there. Yeah, there's a copy of it.
Okay.
All that is going on the back of the bill this quarter. Is everybody okay with that?
Oh, I'm fine with it.
Yes,
It's just
Joanne,
a great way to get the news out there. And remind the people too, Joanne, that their taxes aren't due until July 21st. Of the
Okay.
extended date.
I will add that.
Okay.
Okay. So they will be going out by July 1st.
Okay, Joanne has asked for a vacation day, July 2nd, and the 3rd is a holiday for the village. So we need to get that on the webpage that the office will be closed that day. I don't know, Pam isn't, I'll get a hold of Pam and have her put it in the paper with the information that's from the meeting.
Okay. I
But
can
it
do
needs, okay, it needs to be out there that the office will be closed because Joanne's on vacation and the 3rd is the holiday.
that.
Okay. Now, tomorrow is the voting primary day at the village office from 6 a.m. till 9. Terry's all set to have the building open. They'll be in there at 5 o'clock to sterilize the building. When they knock it down at 9 o'clock, they'll be back to sterilize it again. So if you see a lot, I don't know if there'll be a lot of activity or not, but that's going to be happening tomorrow. And the new software has been in for the accounts payable, and that's why your abstract looked different. It's a lot easier. Joanne did a great job putting it in, all the invoicing in, and getting the abstract out in the new format. You don't have to physically make an abstract anymore. You can use the form that when you put the invoicing in. So that's a time saver. And Joanne, you've been working on the software as well on the sewer water billing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There's been some activity on that, and the switch has been made on the payroll. It's through ADP now, so that is cost savings and easier way to do it. So that has been taken care of. And I sent out an email the other day for your input on the home consortium. And if we didn't, I mean, it's something that's been done for decades. All the North Country counties are doing it. So you can get funding through HUD, and it has to be planned, or Jefferson County renews it every 3 years. And it's an automatic renewal if you don't hear from us. And the only person that got back to me was Michelle, and she was okay with it. So we will have 3 more years on the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And it's administered by the county. Okay, Nancy, we got anything to share with us on the library, how they're doing? Nancy?
Hold on. Yeah, took me a moment to unmute.
Oh.
They're doing well. They'll be opening up in another week or so. They're getting things organized for that. They're going to start curbside service maybe this week or next week, and it'll be a little bit of a time for them to get completely organized and rules and regulations, keeping everyone safe. They did get the information about insurance from Tina, and they're going to be reaching out to Tina about that. Some of the pricing just seemed very off, so they're going to reach out to Tina about that.
Oh, okay, that's good.
But well, I mean, it's quite off.
They got the money. So did they get the check-in account opened up?
I'm not sure. I think they were going to be doing it at the end of last week or this week. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
so
good.
They're moving forward.
Okay, that's good. Michelle, is there any news from the chamber?
Nothing new. They're worried about money. I believe they're having the fireworks unless something comes up to stop them on the 3rd. There's, I think everyone's been talking a lot about the shoulder seasons, and I think we need to give some kudos to the chamber that they're right now holding on to their shoulder season for the fall, and hopefully we'll be generating income and tourism by doing that. And we really need to support them because they've lost a ton this year in terms of finances. So I hope everybody goes to any activity that is still being held and that people remember to
join the chamber.
Thank you to the chamber.
Yeah,
That's all.
now you think the fireworks are going to go on?
Everything, they haven't been canceled on the page yet, and the fireworks are also going on in the bay. They are not canceled.
They're not, but I don't think they got the permit from the town to do the fireworks.
I hadn't heard that, but it's possible. I know that the county is unhappy about any fireworks in the county this summer, but they have no clout to stop them.
But yeah, here you have to get a permit from the town to have fireworks, and I don't think they issued it.
Well, I will find out. I mean, I'm not I don't like fireworks, so I'm probably not the best person to say this, but I really don't think it's a good idea for the number of people that will be there and the inability to distance, etc.
Okay, so Does anyone else have anything they want to share with us?
Is there public comment tonight, Norma?
I'm sorry?
Is there public comment tonight, Norma?
Sure. Yes, there is.
May I proceed?
This is Paul.
Sure. Go ahead, Paul.
This is Paul Luck.
Where'd you go, Paul?
Hello, I'm
We're
here.
still here. Speak.
Okay. The unassigned fund balance, as presented at a January budget workshop, was at that time $250,000 below the level recommended by the New York State guidelines and over $1 million below the recommendation of the village's financial consultant. This has been an issue for many years, well before COVID-19 struck, and the budget for fiscal year 2020-2021 does not reflect any improvement in this area. It should be a matter of great concern for the village's taxpayers because the only way to build this fund is to reduce costs and services or raise taxes significantly, or both. Therefore, my request, Norma, and to the board, is that the unassigned fund balance be reported each month at these meetings. For example, June 30's balance would be reported at the July 14 meeting, and so on. This is a simply fulfilled request and would give those of us interested in our village's financial position a glimpse of its health. So that's my request.
Thank you, Paul. At the time of the budget, we talked about fund balance and about the only way you can increase fund balance is increase taxes. There was no appetite for that this year. We didn't do that, and we took a $200,000 hit on the revenue side, and that's why we had to reduce staffing. And as far as getting a number every month on fund balance, I'm not sure that's going to happen. Not the way I see fund balance work. I thought we'd have something from Tina from the month of May for our meeting tonight, and I did not see anything come in, so I'll follow up with her, see where that is, and now she's getting ready. You'll have the fund balance when we get the AUD done, which is due in August. When
Norma,
everything
this is simply your checking account balance at the end of a fiscal period. That's what it is. So unless you're not keeping a track of your checking account, I don't see how it's not available.
Well, there's a difference
easily
between the fund balance and the checking account. I'll speak to Tina about it in the morning.
Well, I think that the essence of my request is pretty clear. How you fulfill this, it's up to you. If you want me to, I can just go ahead and foil it every month. But thank you for letting me speak.
Okay. Well, thank you, Paul. Anyone else have a comment? If not, would somebody on the board move to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Steve. Everybody off but the board?